Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Masters Tour at Las Vegas. We're live from the Link Hotel. I'm TJ, joined by Derek Brown, and we're going to continue with some round 2 action. Derek, it's been a while, man. We haven't cast together in months and months and months.
I know. My first ever trip to Los Angeles was casting with you. Just really kind of set the tone.
What
I
a
think,
trip
very
it
well.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited, though. I like your shirt here. It's very nice.
Thanks.
Very soft. A little large in you. Looks like it was made for someone slightly shorter with a larger mid area than you.
I'm going to grow into it.
There you go.
I'm going to shrink my body and widen my body as well.
You're a growing boy. Eat your proteins. But we just saw Purple take a quick 2-0 over
very
Nyria.
convincing.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a common story among the weekend. I know there's a lot of debate back and forth between the Rogue versus Warrior matchup, but I feel like you need to go so far into the deep end as the Rogue to find victories, whereas the Warrior can sometimes just kind of cruise there, it feels.
And I think that's why we're hearing from some players that the more aggressive versions of Rogue, with Raiding Party even, can be in a decent spot against Warrior, because they don't go for the late game value plan as we saw from Nyria. Instead, they just equip a Waggle Pick and kill you real quick.
Yeah, and we're going to get into some more round 2 matches here in just a moment. I believe we're going to have ETC versus Xixo coming up on stream in just a few moments. It's going to be a Mage Mirror match, and we're going to get into this one in game number 1. ETC, of course, a Grandmaster for the Americas region, representing F2K. Xixo, kind of a titan among the Hearthstone scene. Been around since the very beginning, been on some very prestigious teams and organizations throughout his time here.
He's also very mean to me.
Oh, yeah? How does it make you feel?
Not great. It's got to be said.
He's one of the few players in this entire room that's taller than you.
I know. I think, yeah, when we both did a Gold Club in China a couple of years ago, he was the only person in any building at any point that was taller than me.
Yeah, as well as our producer, Mike Norris, who's 7'2", actually. He's just an absolute unit of a Hearthstone producer.
However, there appears to be some Hearthstone
There is some Hearthstone going on. It is a Mage Mirror. Now, taking a look at the deck list for their primary deck, very similar decks across the board. The difference is coming kind of the late game, where ETC has gone for the more standard Archmage Tinnitus, whereas Xixo has an Alex Straza. And the cool thing about this is that they both have Luna's Pocket Galaxy, and Xixo's actually packing 2 Water Elementals and a Snip Snap in the Mage deck.
Yeah, he was describing his play style to me as Coin Innovate Yeti, which is obviously the Coin Elemental Evocation Water Elemental as his ideal play that he can go for.
Yeah.
Reliving his glory days, I suppose, of 2014.
Yeah, it's kind of cool when you think about it. We haven't seen it in action much, but in a lot of matchups, Contra's calling like 4 or 5 slot minions is actually like really beneficial to go wide up more early.
Yes.
Instead of going all in on Mountain Giants.
Yeah. That's why we're seeing a lot of players. I know Hunter Ace is going for the halftime Scavenger in his Rogue deck, tertiary, to beat the Rogues.
Play Mana Cyclone to cycle another card here.
Yeah, I mean, he could even go with the Evocation. We could see a really powerful turn here from Xixo. He really just needs to worry about too many cards at this point. I think he would much rather draw cards from his deck than randomly generate cards at this point, because he does want to find himself Khadgar, Mountain Giant, something to make this Conjurer's Calling pop.
Yeah, and you can see, I think he's counting hand space here. That's why he used his coin early.
Yep.
He wants to make sure that he fills up his hand but doesn't overdraw, because there's still a lot of key minions in the deck that he wants to hold on to.
Behold the tools of creation.
You've been playing a lot of Mage lately, Derek? Are you a magician?
Yes. Would you believe me if I said I didn't do magic at school?
No.
Exactly. I didn't, but I so would, wouldn't I?
I mean, look at you.
Behold the tools
Magician
of
through and through.
creation. My hand is too full.
Whoa! Wait, did Xixo just go? He went for the research project into burning exactly Luna's Pocket Galaxy.
That is a pretty big deal.
My hand
ETC does, however, wow, okay, have the follow-up of going for Mountain Giant Conjurer's Calling, and then on the backswing, Xixo made himself burn his Mountain Giant as well. So both players here have lost pretty crucial cards at this point in the matchup.
Yeah, I think that Luna's Pocket Galaxy is actually even better for ETC because he has access to the Archmage Antonidas.
Yes.
And the 1-mana Archmage Antonidas allows you to close those like stalemated boards.
We must band
like combine it with a Frost Nova and a couple other spells, and you're threatening lethal, even if your board is frozen, for instance.
Speaking of frozen boards, that is definitely where this game is headed, with ETC putting way over lethal damage into play. Xixo's only recourse here looks to be pretty much Frost Nova and a lot of Sea Giants, and just pray that he can chip through to get lethal.
Yeah, and he has the double Frost Nova, so he's got a couple turns to buy. He can play the Sea Giants, trade in some minions, Frost Nova again, and have 2 turns to develop this kind of swing on his board.
What to do?
And looking at their decks, they both are running double Frost Nova.
Yes.
So that's a key thing to note. It is a great card in the mirror matchup, just because it allows for those things to happen where your opponent makes a big board. Otherwise, you just make a big board to yourself and hope that you survive. Or in this case, you can freeze it
The tools of creation.
and force your opponent to have answers beyond that.
But Xixo is not even playing the Frost Nova on this turn, instead looking like he's heading for a Ray of Frost, I guess, and just hoping that the mirror images can protect him. This is real risky, though.
Yeah, it is the twin spell version, so he can still use 2.
Yes.
But
Wow.
ETC has Icicle, he has Cinderstorm, Arcane Missiles, even has a Banana Buffoon, so he can get a like Banana Buffoon, trade Khadgar over Icicle and use bananas to trade over these Sea Giants. Value trade.
I'm not sure how I feel about this from Xixo. I think with 2 Frost Novas in hand, I think I might have preferred just 2 Sea Giants on this turn. You could even have played the mirror image as well in order to still draw a card off of Luna, and then gone with the Frost Nova, and then next turn he goes for Conjurer's Calling and Frost Nova and hope to get there.
Yeah, he could even, since he knew that ETC used both of his Conjurer's Calling, he could even value trade over the Grave Horrors with the Sea Giants.
Exactly.
Then Conjurer's Calling and Frost Nova again. Set up almost a guaranteed win.
It would really only have been opposing Frost Novas that could have messed things up for him there.
Small chance that he just didn't count his mana correctly and thought he had mana for Frost Nova. It's hard to tell with the hesitations, especially since this was one of our side matches, so we can't see their facial expressions.
What to do?
Contrary to popular belief, Xixo is not 4 planks of wood stacked vertically on top of each other.
It's actually 4 planks of wood stacked
horizontally
next to each other. As this is the downside of Xixo's play. ETC roping out though, missing a ping to face, which with his hand of Cinderstorm and Arcane Missiles could make the difference.
Yeah, this has been a kind of a common issue with ETC in America's Grandmasters, especially in the first couple weeks. I don't know if it's nerves. ETC is a player that kind of got most of his start from ladder. You know, he got the majority of his points from ladder. You know, he's got 2 kids, full-time job. I know what that feels like, and sometimes it can be hard to just sit down and play Hearthstone for a lot of time. He said, like, he would play on mobile to get ladder finishes. So he chalked it up to nerves when we interviewed him for Grandmasters, roping out a couple turns, not making efficient plays. Tough to see it play him here in such a big event of the match. I don't know if it'll matter. It was just a ping.
Xixo now very much does have the ability to threaten lethal of his own on the following turn. It's all in on ETC to find a way to survive against this, which he does have at the moment just about. I think, or does he even? Does the mirror image ping on the Giant? I think we're just about keep him alive.
Yeah, but that's if Xixo basically had nothing in his hand. ETC might need to think about the possibility of trying to pick up a Frost Nova. This could also take some significant power off the board. That's actually really good.
That's so good there. That's so important for ETC. Now the mirror image on his side of the board looks like it very well could protect him.
Do you ever think about double mirror image? It would fill up your board, but you only need 1 minion to connect.
So if he doesn't do that, with the Ziliax in hand for Xixo, I think he would be dead.
Time runs out on me.
Oh no, wait, one of them, someone's fought 3 anyway because of Khadgar.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
So it fills up his board, so he's safe no matter what.
You're gonna unleash the Arcane Missiles, might as well. No chance of killing anything, but maybe get some additional face damage.
Yeah.
Maybe he could pick up a Mana Cyclone and a Frostbolt would be the out for lethal.
Oh, the Kalagos effect coming into play now, though. What would we even see? I mean, Frost Nova has to be played on this turn. Does he ever Frost Nova and develop, but not kill anything because he knows that if ETC can't play any minions, he can't win?
The problem is he has to develop enough
Yeah.
to make sure that he has lethal through it.
And I think if that opens up ETC to the possibility of top decking his own Frost Nova, and so I think I like a slightly more aggressive stance from Xixo here, which we're seeing.
Now can still Ziliax and Frost Nova.
Or is this now just lethal, actually? Yeah, this is now just lethal, because he was able to kill one of them off.
Yeah, you're right. I think he could have, was it guaranteed lethal if he starts off with Conjurer's Calling? Because it's guaranteed to get a Wisp. It was a 0-mana Conjurer's Calling because of the Kalagos.
He needed the mana for ping to finish, to get the lethal damage.
Yeah, and he needed, yeah, you're right. I have to go back and look at the board state, but because the Kalagos would have made the Conjurer's Calling 0 mana.
Oh, right, oh.
So he Conjurer's Calling, since the mirror images are 0 mana, it guarantees to get a Wisp.
I think you might actually be correct.
So then you get a Wisp, you Ziliax double trade, and you have enough mana to ping.
I think you may be right.
So I don't think you even needed the Cinderstorm there.
Could have had 100%.
Could have had 100%. I believe. I don't think any of the Cinderstorm pings went face. That would have been the other one. I think he was at 21 at the beginning of that turn anyway. But nonetheless, Xixo takes game number 1 over ETC. Kind of how those Mage Mirrors go. It kind of comes down to who can find the big swing turn first. Oftentimes in many other matchups, outside of, let's say, Warrior with a Brawl, you Khadgar Conjurer's Calling a Mountain Giant, you're going to win. Yeah. But in this case, double Sea Giant plus Frost Nova ends up being the difference maker.
That's what I love about modern Mage Mirrors. Is it doesn't. It's the fact that it also doesn't often come down to Khadgars and Mountain Giants and Conjurer's Calling. Yeah. Because so often just going for Sorcerer's Apprentice, Banana Buffoon, Mana Cyclone just kills your opponent before they can even get to that point anyway. Yeah. So I think it's a lot more of a dynamic matchup than we've seen in the past. Yeah,
kind of interesting. And I assume both players are going to stick with their primary decks.
Are they anti?
Looking at their secondary list, there's a Mind Control tech in Xixo's secondary list, but there's also Rabble Bouncers and Cuts Mountain Giants. So Mind Control tech,
Mountain Giants.
Mind Control tech, while good in the mirror,
yes,
the cards that he sacrifices in order to make room for Mind Control tech
are terrible.
And then if you look at their tertiary lists, it's like Harrison Jones, Karen, Alex Strauss. They're both anti-warrior lists with Astromancer on ETC side as well. So I imagine we're going to see primary lists again for Game 2.
I anticipate that you are right. I hope we get to see a little bit more action from Luna's Pocket Galaxy in these matchups, because with the rise of the mechs bringing that down to 5 mana as opposed to 7, I already saw from some players in their tertiary decks in some of the Open Cups teching in 7 mana Luna's Pocket Galaxy to try and fight back against the Warriors. So when it's 5 mana, I mean, if you look at the win rates of that card, played on 5, it's kind of comparable to Skull of the Minari in just how good it is, how much it improves your game plan over the next few turns.
It allows you to play differently, too. Reason being is because a lot of times you want to keep your hand full in case you draw a Mountain Giant.
Right.
Whereas if you play Luna's Pocket Galaxy, you can play pretty aggressively if you're holding on to a Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah.
You always have the possibility to play a 0 mana Mountain Giant, because it'll be 0 mana once you draw it even with Luna's Pocket Galaxy, unless your hand's empty. And Conjurer's Calling it regardless of how big your hand is.
Ooh, very interesting hands from both players here, with ETC obviously available to go for a very nice early Elemental Evocation Mana Cyclone turn to generate a whole bunch of stuff in hand for when he hopefully gets the Mountain Giant off of that Sandbinder. Xixo, on the other hand, we could see either curving out with a really nice starting play of minions, Sorcerer's Apprentice this turn, Arcane Intellect next turn, hope to find a Mana Cyclone as well. But he's taking it a little bit slower here. This is not something we see all too often. Generally, Apprentice just comes down on 2 these days.
Yeah, the reason being is because there's just no answer to it in the deck.
Yeah.
We see there's some players that will put in a Frostbolt, but other than that, Ray of Frost.
That's it.
The only answer. And Ray of Frost is a pretty good keep.
Yes,
in
it's
a
good
lot
in the
matchup.
matchup.
Yeah, so that's probably his thinking. He's like, well, if I play a Sorcerer's Apprentice here and ETC just double Rays of Frost it, then my hand has nothing but a Mountain Giant. I've expended a card, so my Mountain Giant's more expensive. Yes, I go AI next turn, but it delays my Mountain Giant by a turn, and I don't want to take that risk. My name's Xixo. I'm really tall. I don't take risks.
There's two things we know about Xixo. He bees tall.
And he takes no risks. That's a sweeping generalization. I'm sure Xixo takes plenty of risks.
Yeah, he messes with me. A big risk. But
The last person to mess with Derek
was called Derek Brown.
and he broke Derek Brown's arm. So maybe not that big a risk after all.
Yep.
I will
Snap like a twig, does old Derek Brown. That's a much cooler story. I might go with that rather than just I was carrying too much shopping and my ankle was tired, so it slipped.
Xixo beat me up.
I'm not going to say that live on broadcast.
That's okay, that's what I'm for. ETC forced to dump a card from his hand here because he had 10 cards. No real threats either, so he can't really afford to burn a card here.
And here's the interesting thing for Xixo's position is he managed to get the Mountain Giant in play, a turn earlier. Like you mentioned, the reason to hold back the Sorcerer's Apprentice. But it's now being frozen by a Ray of Frost. A Ray of Frost that, if it was in the hand when the Sorcerer's Apprentice had come down, would have just had to come down to kill it off, right? He doesn't have Conjurer's Calling to get a big benefit out of this Mountain Giant. I don't know if I'm being too results-oriented here, but I think the potential benefit of having the Sorcerer's Apprentice to stick on turn 2 was higher than the situation he's got himself in now.
Oh, that's a good point. Very good point.
He's turning it around now. Like I love that he's developing onto the board at this point, protecting the Luna, making the best of a situation where he doesn't have Conjurer's Calling.
And again, just getting minions on board in this matchup is pretty good.
Yeah, you just kill them. You just hit them in the face and they die a lot of the time.
Yeah, outside of Mana Cyclone shenanigans, there's really no way for Mage to deal with the wide board.
Yeah.
Neither of these players have Doomsayer in their deck, for instance, to go for Frost Nova Doomsayer.
No Rabble Bouncers or anything like that.
Yeah, so there is Sea Giants in both lists, so you do have to be mindful of the fact that your opponent can play Sea Giants. But here there's 6 minions on board, so ETC Sea Giant would cost 4 mana, which is not really enough to capitalize on.
And even if they can cast Conjurer's Calling on it, with Mulch Muncher being buffed, quote-unquote, down to 9 mana, there's no immediate options off of the 10-cost slot anymore. They're all just, they don't do anything the turn you play them.
It's kind of funny that Mulch Muncher was buffed to 9 mana, and the only class that, quote-unquote, plays Mulch Muncher is Mage. And in that instance, it was pretty much nerfed because they don't play 9 mana minions outside of sometimes Alexstrasza.
Which is, of course, the one and only reason why Xixo brought Alexstrasza in his Mage deck. Is he thought, ooh, gotta get them Mulch Munchers.
Get them Mulch Munchers.
If there's 3 things about me, Xixo, I'm tall, I don't take risks, and I love Mulch Muncher.
Behold the tools of creation.
Wow, that is an important pickup.
Yeah, even draws a card.
Wow, and the Giant as well. This is such a powerful turn for Xixo.
Behold the tools of creation.
Does he go for that instead? Draws a card, 2 spells? Or does he just go all in with the Giant now? Like you said, no Doomsayers.
Could trade off the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Oh yeah, that's true. You can do both.
But
I wonder.
Would he have mana then to play both? Because he'd need 10 minions to be in play.
he could just trade Sorcerer's Apprentice,
Into
then
the Sandbinder?
into the Sandbinder, then Mana
Out
Cyclone,
on me.
then Sea Giant.
Oh, right,
Then
yeah,
trade.
yeah. Oh, no, yeah, sorry, this is it, yeah.
But just going to go with Sea Giant here.
Yeah, I like this. This is the way to do it.
This way you take 2 minions off board instead of the preemptive trade.
ETC with his back very much up against the wall here. The Frost Nova is really the only way he can even stay alive on this turn. And therefore, he is digging.
The problem is when you're using your Frost Nova, the one thing that you want to do is also be developing. Because Frost Nova is a massive tool.
Yeah.
And if you're using Frost Nova just to buy time and you're not actually developing your own board alongside of it, then what are you essentially doing for your game plan? You're just kind of delaying the inevitable of your opponent killing you. Wow, Snip Snap. Even better than we expected. It draws a card, too. Not anymore. Instantly nerfed. Wow, Ziliak's even better than expected.
I don't even know what you're talking
It draws
about
a
anymore,
card.
TJ.
It doesn't have the mana. Instantly nerfed.
So they should make Ziliax 4 mana and draw a card, is what we're saying now.
wonder.
Yeah, I don't think Ziliax has played in enough decks.
We just got to really boost those numbers today. I mean, Xixo here, it's really just thinking, how do I lose in this situation? Which is having 2 drops in play so that ETC could go for Conjurer's Calling to get a Doomsayer on his side of the board. So there was some merit, I think, actually, to icicling his own Mana Cyclone in this situation. Maybe he thinks he's not that far ahead, to the point where the only thing he loses to is Doomsayer off of Conjurer's Calling. But I think he's approaching that situation.
Definitely possible. There's also like a weird thing where if you're super far ahead and you Conjurer's Calling a Sea Giant and get Hakar the Soul Flare, that you can just runner, draw blood, and die.
Okay.
But that's a very French case scenario.
Super French.
If you have like no cards left in hand and you're all in on this board, then maybe, I don't know, if you're just so far ahead where there's only one possible thing that can kill you,
What to do?
then you wouldn't do it.
What to do?
But other than that,
I think something like this is more likely to lose Xixo this game. If ETC could hit, I don't know, a bunch of Heckle bots or whatever else premium 4 drops there, freeze, value trade, pull this one back. That is, I think, the way in which Xixo could maybe lose this game. But with 2 Frost Novas being picked up, like, what, Luna's Pocket Galaxy Frost Nova on this turn looks pretty fantastic to me.
Job's done.
Behold the
And Frost Nova
tools
draws
of
a card?
creation.
how long have you been playing Hearthstone, Derek?
Closed beta.
So you remember back in the days of our early Freeze Mage,
I do.
back when Frost Nova was 2 mana,
Blizzard was 5.
Blizzard was 5. Frostbolt dealt 8 damage.
Yeah, I mean,
That never happened. You were about to just say, yeah, I remember those
I was
days.
thinking my own thought already. I'd
Okay.
thoroughly stopped listening.
Completely ignoring me. Good call.
I think I was a bit busy playing Voodoo Doctor Warrior at that point to be worrying about Freeze Mage. I was bad for a long time.
Well, this is exactly
Lethal.
15. Yeah. Xixo going to take game 2, which means he takes the series and moves on to a 2-0 score in Swiss, and that also gives ETC his first loss of the tournament, down to 1-1. Not a terrible start, but a lot of ground to make up because of that early loss.
Yeah, and Xixo again, just showing, I mean, classic Xixo, to be honest. He's one of those players who, even when he hasn't been playing as much Hearthstone as a lot of the competitors here have been, he's been playing for so long and such a high level for so long
Yeah.
that, you know, it's like riding a bike. He can pick it up. He never really forgets how to do it.
Yeah, and you know, there's been so many players, especially with Grandmasters, that have taken a hiatus from Hearthstone,
Yeah.
that have come back. Players that got those top money earner slots or
Yes.
those legend slots. That have picked back right back up into things. One of the players that stands out in my mind for Americas is Strifecrow.
Yes.
For a while, he was off doing other things, took a break from Hearthstone, but coming back into Grandmasters has really, been enjoying himself, is up at the top of the standings, and Xixo kind of strikes me a similar way, where he never fully exited the scene, but hasn't been seen too much in tournaments recently. And now we're seeing 2-0 start in Swiss rounds here at Vegas. Pretty good start.
That's what's so great about these tournaments, like in the Masters Tour here for Las Vegas, is we can entice these players with friendship and good times with the other players, and then they have to play some Hearthstone.
And then we hit him with the Hearthstone.
Exactly.
I think we should do that with casters, too. Bring back some of the casters of the past, like Artosis.
And Lothar.
2013 world champion Artosis.
Maybe. Let's just thoroughly get me out of a job. Let's just, end the whole ordeal.
Yeah. And you know what that would mean too, right?
What would that mean, TJ?
Americas would be one step closer to Europe and catching up for world champions. If we counted Artosis. I think we should.
I don't know if we really do count Artosis.
I don't think we do, because in the animation that plays right before
Yeah.
like the old HCT events, I don't think Artosis' face was there. And I'm pretty sure that's the official metric for world champions, is if your face flips on, if your caricatured face
Yes.
flips onto a card right before a Hearthstone broadcast starts. If you're not in there, then you're not a world champion, I guess.
Has there been one of those with Hunter Ace?
I
Yeah.
think there will be one.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been made yet.
Because I'm wondering how it would be possible to caricature Hunter Ace's face when it's just
Already caricatured.
already such a caricature.
They just have to put a cartoon ice cream cone in it, and that would fully do it. But I want to take a look at some of the standings here. I don't know if I should say all of the players that have gotten 2-0, because there may be another match that we have to broadcast before round 2 is over. It's Danker versus Gallon, which we're going to broadcast. And I'm going to ask my producer here if I can spoil any other results on broadcast for the rest of the round. Okay, I know which ones I can spoil now. He told me. So a couple of the players that are now 2-0. Fino has finished up his round 2 game. He is 2-0. We saw Purple earlier. Karacute, Dog is 2-0. Eddie, killing all day. 2-0 in the Swiss round. It's unfortunate that he's going to finish the day 5-2, as he's done with every 7-round Swiss day of all time, pretty much. I know Lorenda's at home cringing right now and saying, no, he finished 4-3 3 years ago. But
I mean, I just want to talk about, what is that? Psycho is 2-0 as well.
Psycho's 2-0. Casey's 2-0.
Fino has now won 10 competitive series of Hearthstone in a row, I believe, with his... Oh, no, wait, because he plays... Yes, 10 series of Specialist Hearthstone in a row with his 8 Grandmasters. He may just keep going. Who knows?
Yeah,